Okay, so edit stage.
Trying to steal the show. I know you so. You better prepare for war. Are you ready? It's now. Welcome to the show. Pro Wrestling, your home for smart and stunning wrestling debates with lifelong wrestling fans Shawn and Ashlee. Let the debate begin.
Well, hello and welcome to this episode of Radio Free Professional Wrestling. We're coming to you live on a Monday night. And Ashley, right off from the start, I got to give you your congratulations because you basically called this, as we were talking about last week about The Rock, Cody, Roman. What could it all be? And you were saying they're going like, just give it time. This is going to all work out. And come to that WWE kickoff press conference on Thursday night. We finally got confirmation. It's going to be Cody versus Roman, probably night 2 to finish Cody's story. Ashley, congratulations. How you doing?
I'm okay. It was a weird way to get there, but we got there. But I'm okay. How are you doing?
I am doing well. I had enjoyed this sunny episode of New Japan Pro Wrestling about 3 o'clock in the morning. I did see Will Ospreay final match in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Okada versus Tanahashi for the final last time. We're going to talk about it later in the show. That was a great match. And oh, by the way, if you haven't seen Zack Sabre Jr. versus Bryan Danielson yet, do yourself a favor. After you finish Radio Free Professional Wrestling, go on to New Japan World and just sit back and enjoy 28 minutes of technical perfection of professional wrestling as these two guys are out to try to submit each other. And actually, the question is, did he do it?
Shawn, we're gonna talk so much about this match. As you know, last year, their match, Wrestle Dream, was my pick for match of the year. And that happened in October, and I had a lot to consider all the way into October. We are in February, and I might already have my match of the year.
Funny you say that, because I may have my match of the year already selected, and we're like 2 weeks into February, and it's going to take a lot to knock this sucker off the mountaintop.
Yeah, that New Japan show was absolutely incredible this weekend. I mean, a couple of like the multi-man tag matches that were kind of, there on the card, but some really standout matches.
Very true. We'll get to that all in the Ashley and Shawn top 5 matches of the week. I'm pretty sure it's going to be New Japan Pro Wrestling Heavy this week. We'll just have to find out later in the show. But first, we're heading over to the Control Center to catch you up on the week of professional wrestling news.
This is your Radio Free Pro Wrestling Control Center. All the wrestling news you need to know.
Okay, so let's catch everybody up onto the current understanding of the Vince McMahon lawsuit situation. As Vice News came out last week and reported that the lawyer for John Laurinaitis is now stating that John Laurinaitis will confirm that back in 2011, Ashley Mazzaro was over on a WWE tour of the Middle East, and now he's saying that he's going to confirm the testimony that she did before she passed away, that she had a sexual abuse allegation on a United States Army base. Actually, this story just keeps getting crazier and crazier as we go week after week.
Yeah, it seems with every detail it is only getting worse. And it's especially troubling because Ashley Massaro definitely reached out. This isn't like the first we've heard of these issues. She had mentioned it before she had ever passed, and to kind of see how everybody around seems to have failed in their duties to just simply take care of their workers is shocking, honestly.
It makes it harder to be a WWE fan because now you're just looking at all these cards just falling down one after another. And we knew about this story for like years, 5, 6 years. And me personally, it kind of felt like it played a hand in the way Ashley passed away tragically. And I'm like, one thing I can say is the WWE did her wrong and failed her totally.
Absolutely. This most recent report, like John Laurinaitis, I don't think can make up for what he's done, but at the very least, if he's going to finally now do what's right and can provide, the authorities with all the evidence they need. I mean, I assume he's probably just, trying to save his own skin because these are some serious allegations. But either way, at least hopefully we can get some sort of, like justice in her name at least.
Very true. And I do agree with you. I feel like this is John Laurinaitis tossing out like a breadcrumb to the fellow investigators if there's ever a case for a federal prosecution of Vince McMahon. This is him trying to open up negotiations for him to be a state witness, and hopefully he thinks he can lower his charges down. I personally feel like he shouldn't get any kind of immunity for any kind of testimony he does in this situation because the dude needs to face the music just like Vince McMahon.
Yeah, I agree with you, and 100%. I just know that's not the way it works. So I'm hoping, like I said, at the very least, at least we need to get the people that we can get with this evidence and whatever is out there, and because Ashley didn't deserve that, and now knowing all of this and with what's happened to her, it's even doubly more devastating.
Yes. And another thing we learned in the past week is that the head of TKO made a phone call Thursday night as the lawsuit was coming out into public and asked Vince McMahon to personally step down, and Vince McMahon stepped down that Thursday night. But it took the call from the head of TKO to get this thing rolling.
It shouldn't have taken that, I'll say, but at least he had the sense enough to be like, we can't have this around. Like, again, probably more done to save, how they look and their public perception, but it's done,
You know, I honestly feel like it's like the obvious move you had to do when you see the lawsuit drop on Thursday is like you read that 67 pages. There's only one solution he could do automatically, as he has to be out of that company.
Yeah. Like, it's baffling that I know, like, that they weren't kind of like running on as much evidence as they were when the allegations first came out, but to even have those allegations and to allow him back in is very concerning. And now that it's blown up, I'm hoping, like I said, just they get what they need and we can finally deal with Vince and whoever else was involved the way that they need to be dealt with.
Yes, we'll keep you addressed to this situation as it goes through the legal system here in the next few weeks and months here on Radio Free Professional Wrestling. Let's move on to our second news story. And I'm going to go to Total Nonstop Action Wrestling, as Scott D'Amore has been terminated as president of TNA by Anthem Sports Entertainment. And apparently, as the story is going, they had a disagreement in where they saw TNA going. Scott D'Amore wanted to go with the momentum and tried to spend some more money to bring TNA to larger arenas and run with the goodwill that TNA has built up in the last 24 months. While Anthem was going, "That's nice. We just wanna keep going where we're going," and they were butting heads, and when that happens, the company's gonna kick out the person.
Yeah, this is I I haven't seen anything, when people get let go this shockingly, you never know if there was anything underlying beneath it. But to kind of see the story that's come out, it just seems like they just didn't see that. Like, how did Anthem not see the direction TNA has been going in over the past few years? They've absolutely, I literally, when we did the Winstons a few months ago, I named them my promotion of the year. I was telling everybody, like, watch out for them. And they took like one of the most integral pieces and just did away with him to save a few bucks. I mean, this isn't just somebody who was like a great relations person for the network and the company. It was somebody who was obviously beloved by the entire roster.
I know, Ashley, and how Anthem told the roster members how Scott D'Amore was let go by the company was a Zoom call. In said Zoom call, they said that it was a mutual agreement for D'Amore to step down. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
I was gonna say, I even if we were told that and kind of given that, I don't think I would believe that anyway. How much Scott D'Amore has put himself into that company, there's no way he would have just stepped aside. And like, I don't understand how they could watch it, see how he has all of these great ideas and great intentions for this company that have all been fruitful. They have a great roster. They've built up their goodwill with the fans again, so they're selling out shows again. Everybody's checking out their pay-per-views, and to just do away with him to kind of install somebody who it doesn't really know about the wrestling business and is kind of just going to be a corporate stooge is kind of like, honestly, one of the worst things I think that could start off TNA's 2024.
We had such great hopes for this relaunch of Total Nonstop Action Wrestling. We'll keep you guys addressed of that situation here on Referee Professional Wrestling as the days and weeks go ahead. Let's move on to another story, and I'm going over to Stardom. And this is even crazier than the Scott D'Amore story, because Stardom has decided to let go the founder of Stardom and Rosie Ogata, and they're alleging that he was going around backstage trying to poach some talent from Stardom to start his own promotion in Japan, and that promotion may have some involvement with the WWE. We don't know that yet. And there's other stories going around that Julia is delaying her arrival to WWE to help him start this promotion.
I mean, if he was doing it, it's a justified firing. You can't keep tampering with people under their contract to funnel them to WWE. But this is nuts, because not only because a lot of the women in Stardom are like loyal to Rossi, there's been rumors that like a lot of these contracts are coming up this coming month, and that a lot of these women could walk out on Stardom to join this new Rossi's new promotion.
And Ashley, they're having a show in 2 days' time. This Wednesday, they have a show. There's no card announced yet at time of recording. I would tell everybody, keep your eye on Stardom on Wednesday. It's going to tell you a lot what's going to happen going forward.
Yeah, definitely. I think, especially, I don't know what happens for Stardom from here. If even half of these women walk out, they could be in some trouble.
It's going to be interesting, and we're going to approach this in the 76 questions later on in this episode. We're going to try to see if we can find a way for Stardom to go on without Rossi and a massive number of talent that may leave with them. Let's move on to our next news story, as I'm going to go over to Swerve Sullivan was on the Smooth Vega podcast, where he revealed that back in the fall, the WWE reached out to see if he was interested to come back to the WWE. And Swerve Sullivan decided to say, nah, I'm good. And actually, I got to say, Swerve Sullivan in 2023, 2024, he's pretty well off in AEW.
Yeah, I mean, I could see why WWE would want to bring him back in. He certainly did a lot for himself when he came into AEW, and he's looked great. Some people just know where they're going to be either valued more, or where, like Swerve Strickland has put in a lot of work to get into the position he's in right now. And I could see him not wanting to just give that up to maybe go have that at the other place. It's why two companies at least is fantastic, because If WWE style wasn't working for Swerve, AEW's was. And it's the same for everything. It's like Jade Cargill. Like Jade Cargill is perfect for WWE, in which she wasn't that perfect in the AEW system. It's why you need these options and all of this stuff, because Swerve is going to continue killing it this year, and I don't blame him for not leaving.
I don't blame him leaving either, because go listen to this interview that was on the Smooth Vega podcast. It's 30 minutes long, and he lays out why he decided to stay with AEW, and he was completely honest. It was a great interview, and leaving it, I'm going like, you know what? Swerve has his head on right. He's going to do a lot of great things, and all he needed was a place to give him a chance and opportunity, and now he has that chance at AEW.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, it's sometimes it's just about the system. You know, if you go back there, you might have to kind of wait behind a few other guys as you're kind of coming back in and building yourself back up. Whereas here, he's built himself up. He's probably the most over guy on the AEW roster at the moment. I mean, he's up there.
Well, we're going to talk about him and Adam Page pretty much in the top 5 matches of the week, because they had one banger of a match last Wednesday.
Yeah. Oh, this feud is so good.
Okay, so we're moving on to my next news story, and we'll go over to Maurice on Saturday. Went to Instagram to put out a lengthy story on her Instagram stories, announcing that she's going to have a medical procedure in about a month. She's going to have a total hysterectomy, and this was due to the fact that they found some precancerous cells on her ovaries. And go read the story on her Instagram. I'm not doing it any justice. It took them basically a year to find out what was wrong with Maurice, and it took her going to several different doctors and finally finding one doctor who was just like her, who wanted to get to the bottom of the situation. And we just want to send out all the well wishes to Maurice and her family.
Yeah, absolutely. What a terrifying situation to be in, to have something wrong with you for that long and nobody even have the slightest clue what's going on. I'm glad that somebody finally did what needed to be done to find out the issues she was having. I was reading about like the procedure they did. But I hope all goes well for her surgery, and hopefully we'll have a great update from her soon.
Yes, fingers crossed. And the scariest part of this was the precancerous that she had. If it turned cancer, the survival rate of that was less than a year.
Well, man, like, see, this is. Thank God for that doctor. Seriously, that took the time to sit with her and figure it out.
Exactly. I mean, hats off to that doctor for going above and beyond and making sure that we hopefully will have Maurice around for many more years. And we're moving on to my next news story, and we're going over to NXT, as at the beginning of the week, Ava had to delete her Twitter account due to some sickos deciding to go onto Twitter and tweeting death threats to her because her father decided to take Cody's spot in a WrestleMania match.
Yeah, this is the kind of stuff I don't enjoy talking about. Guys, it is professional wrestling. It is a television show. I know we all love it and we all have our favorites, but this is so grossly overboard and over the top that it's disgusting.
See, this is when I get mad when they want to say these are quote unquote wrestling fans. No, they're sickos who decide that, hey, I'm going to tweet out to this 27 girl that I don't know, and I'm just going to say everything I would never say to her in her face or in front of her family. And I would, what I would hope happen would be these sickos would eventually run into said family, and the family would take care of them.
Yeah, I mean, these people would not say anything in the presence of The Rock. I mean, and to what purpose does even going after his daughter, somebody who has nothing to do at all with the situation, even accomplish?
True. And you know what? I'll give Ava credit. She had a good comeback. She's like, hey, I'm running NXT. I don't have time for that.
Right, and she certainly doesn't. And it sucks that, like, people think having like your social media is like free reign to like harass people and kind of just be a dick all around, and I don't understand that. There's no reason to tweet at her in the first place. So I can't even imagine why one person would do it, let alone so many that she felt she needed to get off the platform.
Well, like you said, they need to get better. They need to lose their Twitter privileges. They need to lose every social media privileges.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, I got one final news story for us this week. And let me get down here and oh, here we go. Okay, so let's end on a positive note here. As DDP has gone out and started a GoFundMe for WCW's Ice Train. Now, his name is Harold, and he passed away a few weeks ago due to some heart conditions. And he's left behind a family of his wife and 7 kids. If you're able to donate, please go to the link in the show notes and support his family. Now, I remember Ice Train back in WCW, and he was ahead of his time. He was a great athlete. He was in that WCW mid card, and I just like the fact that DDP went out and started doing this because we need to help these wrestlers late in life and after they're gone because they give us so many hours and enjoyment doing the craft they do.
Yeah, obviously, and rest in peace to him, and obviously condolences to his family and everything. But I am glad that there is somebody like DDP to kind of be around and to help these guys, because the amount of work that DDP has done with some of these guys, whether it's just helping them, they can't move anymore after wrestling for so long, or whether they've like needed help like Jake the Snake did, he seems to just be kind of like a beacon in some kind of like unsavory personalities that we've had in wrestling over the years.
Exactly. We just want to send thoughts and prayers out to the family of Harold Hughes, WCW Ice Train, and we're going to go over to our stunning 6 questions of the week.
Time to ring the bell. As Shawn and Ashlee debate 6 stunning questions from the week of wrestling. All the whys. And what the hell was that?
Okay, Ashley, first stunning question. And boy, it's a doozy, as I'm going to ask you, what is Will Ospreay's best New Japan Pro Wrestling match? No pressure.
Yeah. I'm not exactly sure what, like, it's all subjective anyway. So I kind of had 3, and I think they're kind of like, I think most people would be like, yeah, I could see like the case for that match. Like, I don't think there's like any surprises on the list or anything. Um, but certainly the match with Omega at last year's Wrestle Kingdom was absolutely just like another world of fantastic. Exemplified everything that Osprey is just fantastic in the ring, and kind of seems to be maybe like a beginning of a new era for Will Ospreay. But I also have his match with Okada from the G133, and I also have Zack Sabre Jr. from Royal Quest in 2019. I feel like those are kind of some of the more embodiments of like what Will Ospreay was in New Japan.
Okay, so I'm going to agree with you. I'm going with night 8, I do believe, of the G133. It's a 20-minute time limit match with him and Okada. And it's the first time that Ospreay beats Okada clean before that, there was only one other time that he beat Okada. It was back in 2020. He needed a little help from the great Okan. But this was the match in where Will Ospreay was finally able to get that monkey off his back. He was able to beat the Okada one. Now, granted, he didn't win the Climax 33. I do believe he got to the final and lost in the finals to the official winner. But this semifinal match against Okada, it basically is, to me, perfection. It's just like, here's the story of the student and the teacher. Okada's being the teacher. Will Ospreay has learned everything he can possibly learn from Okada. And he finally figures out how to do it without any help.
Yeah, I mean, just like the story they've had from the beginning of like Will Ospreay joining New Japan to kind of like almost like it wasn't really a culmination, but it was certainly like a chapter, like kind of coming to an end and a new one beginning. Because, like you said, he'd only beaten him one other time. He had to use his group to do it, but to get a clean win over Okada in the middle of a New Japan ring, they think, you know, they think the world of you. And they certainly do and did think the world of Will Ospreay in New Japan.
Now, I will also toss in the match he had against Ricochet a few years before that. And I feel like that match, him versus Ricochet, kind of put him on a map in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Now, granted, some people say that match is not their cup of professional wrestling. Fine. But it is a fine example of professional wrestling. And it got people buzzing. It got Ricochet into the WWE, I do believe. And it made Will Ospreay a household name in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And we saw the evolution of Will Ospreay into what we see today.
I do remember as I was getting onto wrestling Twitter in 2017, 2018, around that time, I remember that clip very heavily going around and was very divisive. The one where they do the flips in the ring and then they kind of land in the superhero pose.
True. I mean, like, you could either say that's the most choreographed thing you ever saw, or that was a thing of beauty. It's like an ink block. You're going to see what you're going to want to see out of it.
That's a perfect description, honestly.
And honestly, it is like, hey, you want to see how somebody views professional wrestling? Sit them down, watch the match with them, and after it, just ask them, do you think this is professional wrestling, or do you think this is just a performance? And you just go from there. Okay, so I'm moving on to my second stunning question. And my second stunning question is literally the title of the show. And I'm asking you, Ashley, after we saw the WWE Wrestlemania Kickoff press conference this past Thursday, has the WWE changed course / bent the knee to hashtag We Want Cody? Or was this all WWE's plan and the We Want Cody crowd just went along with the ride?
I don't know. I feel like if it was the plan all along, it's a very weird plan. You had a slam dunk storyline, very easily built, building up for 2 years. Cody's had setback after setback after setback after setback to finally get where he was again. And then they were like, nah, one more for the road. Like, what was this for? I know we've kind of gotten information now that says with The Rock's new TKO deal, he's promised a WrestleMania main event spot. That's so dumb. I can't comprehend guaranteeing a match that takes away from everything you've been doing in your company.
Well, it says WrestleMania match. It doesn't say WrestleMania 40. It could be 41. It could be 42. I mean, we got Cody here set up for the last 2 years, needing to slay the dragon that is Roman Reigns. And let's backtrack to a week and a half ago, Friday night. Cody comes down, main event segment of SmackDown, and he looks like the little stepbrother to The Rock. And like they just basically destroyed this angle in about 15 minutes. Then over the weekend, they see the reactions of the Twitterverse, and they're going, "Oh, hey, WWE WrestleMania Kickoff. We'll announce the match there." And I guarantee you, they pitted. They went like, okay, we're gonna make The Rock heel. He's cool with being a heel. If you saw the clip from the Pat McAfee show, it was telegraphed. He was going to be Hollywood Rock at this press conference, and he was. And we basically kind of Men in Black flash you to forget about Friday Night SmackDown because now we got Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes to finish the story. And there's rumors that Cody and Roman might be doing 2 matches in 2 nights, as there might be a tag team match on the first night as Roman and The Rock versus Seth and Cody.
Personally, I'm going to say this. They've been doing so well with actual long-term storytelling. I don't understand why you don't just have the Cody Roman match this year, have Roman drop the title, then you have a year of The Rock kind of popping in to bust Roman Reigns' balls building up to next year WrestleMania. You could have built a whole storyline with The Rock kind of like being like, oh, where's your belt? Where's your title? Where's your seat at the head of the table? You know, like, I'm going to come in and take your spot. You could have built something so much more with the two of them rather than kind of just going, we sort of kind of teased this a while ago. Then we didn't do anything with it, but now we're going to just throw it at you. Now we're going to do it. Like in the middle of Cody's storyline, which, you know, sent everybody into a tizzy. I would have held off. I would have told The Rock, listen, let's finish this. We got this going. We'll build up something for you for next year's WrestleMania. That way we can kind of build like we did years and years ago with the John Cena Rock match, you know, where it was announced a year in advance. You could announce Rock versus Roman right now for next year's WrestleMania, and you would sell tickets already.
Oh, yes, you would. You would do it just like you did a decade ago with Cena and The Rock. Oh, by the way, funny story. Me and my brother were there at that WrestleMania the night before that Raw, and we saw the end of the world title match with The Miz versus John Cena, where The Rock comes down, basically causes John Cena the title, and we're thinking, okay, we're going to get a match with Rock versus Cena when? What do you mean? What do you mean it's WrestleMania in Miami? Okay, fine. Yeah, I understand. He's from Miami, so yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
I mean, it wouldn't have hurt them, and like I feel like then they wouldn't have had to do this like backwards, like kind of like now retconning things and kind of figuring out like what did The Rock say to Cody that was so compelling he was willing to just give up his WrestleMania spot. And then that press conference, I know a lot of people were very excited about it. I personally don't think it did too many favors for Cody. And then for I don't know what it did to Seth Rollins.
Well, you know what? Let's move on to the next stunning question. And that stunning question is coming up to you right now. And it is, what is the impact of this week's events on Seth Rollins and the World Heavyweight title in the WWE? As we said on that Friday night episode of SmackDown, Roman spent the first 5 to 6 minutes of that promo basically taking a shovel and burying the World Heavyweight title, and Seth Rollins like going, I beat everybody for that title. I beat Seth Rollins. That title is like the consolation title. It's like the loser bracket. At that press conference, he called it the loser bracket. Cody, go over to the loser bracket.
I mean, it's harsh, but I mean, is he really wrong? They had the belt on Roman and everybody stepped up to him and lost, and then they made another belt. Like, so it in a way is because they haven't had Roman lose the belt yet. Truthfully though, I think after this, you might as well just get rid of that belt.
Okay, you remember last week when I said like Seth needed to send an email over to The Rock and Roman going like, bros, you're not doing me a favor. And now I'm saying Seth needs to go over in person and knock on their door going like, can you cut it out? I mean, like, look, at that press conference, we talk about Cody not getting any favors done. Seth Rollins stood there and looked like a freaking idiot.
Yeah, he just stands off like in the corner most of the time, like off to the side. And then when like The Rock slaps Cody, like he like runs in to like help. Like, why are you rushing in to help this guy? He's like not your friend. Like, I'm so confused by some of the choices they made for him. And like I don't understand. Like, the guy is a company man. He's always, he puts on good matches. He's always trying to like stay ahead of the curve. He's always kind of like trying to change things up to stay relevant with the crowd. And it seems like they are just like shoving him into the back right now. I mean, he's working like through an injury right now. Like, the least you could do is not crap on his title.
I feel like this is the least you could do. Oh, by the way, Rollins, we need you to work injured up to WrestleMania. You're going to have a match. It's not going to be a main event, a night 1 or night 2. And, oh, by the way, Roman and The Rock are going to pile onto your title and make it worse. It won't be as worth as the WC. Oh, I take it back. It's not as worth anything like the ECW version of the WWF version of the ECW title. Is about that level now.
Yeah, I feel like it's why I feel like WWE has struggled with this in the past. It's very tough to make 2 top titles very relevant in one division like that. When you have like mid-carder titles, there's stuff you can kind of do with those. But when you're trying to portray somebody as being the man and you have 2 of them, I think it makes things tougher.
They had the solution already on Raw. They didn't need a second title. They have Gunther over there as the IC champion for 500 plus days. Hi, that's your title on Raw. That's your number 1 contender for the future match with Roman. And you just have one world champion and Roman. And you know what? Seth versus Gunther at WrestleMania. That could be a money match. And oh, by the way, if Seth was healthy, I would have had him beat Gunther, and then he can go for Roman.
Right? There's no reason, especially like we see things that have been done with like the titles in the past. Like, you can see how relevant somebody can make a kind of a lesser title, like Cody making the TNT title like relevant, even though it was new. It wasn't something that really didn't have much reason to go after, but Cody's like open challenge made everybody kind of want to go after it. Or like Orange Cassidy's reign made everybody want the international title. It's like years and years ago with John Cena and the US title, when he did the open challenges. Like, just do that kind of stuff with the Intercontinental title on Raw. Like you said, like, I feel like that when you're trying to push 2 people as like a top person, one of them is bound to look bad. Like, one of them is bound to look less than. And it's just an inherent thing. So, like you said, cut that out. Just have one of your kind of like your more mid-card titles be like the title of that show, of Raw or of SmackDown if you move Roman.
Very true. You know what I feel like is going to happen here? I feel like Damian Priest is going to cash in on Seth Rollins at Mania, and Seth Rollins is going to go off for a extended recovery from his injury, and Damian Priest is going to cash his title in for the secondary world title.
I saw somebody say Damian Priest was going to bring his Money in the Bank to Money in the Bank to win Money in the Bank. I can't believe he still hasn't cashed it in.
Well, he's tried a few times and then hasn't totally gone through yet. So wait, maybe just save it to the very last day and cash it in. Oh, by the way.
I mean, I hope if they do pull that title off him, they can do like a reset or something with it at the very least.
We're good. You know what? Seth Rollins did so much rehab for this World Heavyweight Championship, and now whoever gets it next has to reset and redo the building that Rollins did and up to that Friday episode of SmackDown where it got killed.
Yeah, not an enviable job right now.
No. Let's move on to another set of titles as we're going on to our next stunning question, and it's over on AEW. And I do believe this may be one of your top 5 matches of the week. Do you think the Young Bucks, who I want to call down the EVPs, need the World AEW Tag Team titles as they're going against Sting and Darby Allin, as on that episode of Dynamite last week? Darby Allin and Sting won the AEW Tag Team titles from Big Bill and Ricky Starks in an excellent match. Then those 2 beeps came down to the ring and battered Sting, Darby Allin, and Sting Stuns. And yes, they are public enemy number 1 on this show now.
Well, I'll start off with this. I saw a lot of pushback for the Young Bucks being Sting's final opponent, and I'm just gonna say this: If anybody out there doesn't think that Sting had a final say in who his opponents were, I urge you to look at the fact that it's Sting. He most certainly had a say in who his final opponents were. I feel like everybody just wanted the Darby match though, and I don't think he really wants to wrestle Darby. Honestly, if I was
I don't
64, I don't think I'd want to wrestle Darby either. So I'm 35. I don't want to wrestle Darby.
honestly think about this. If Darby did this match with Sting, what does Darby get from beating Sting? He's not a heel. He's a face. I mean, he can't brag he beat Sting.
Right. No, and I think it's certainly a better way to go because, like we've said in the past, Sting is 64 years old. Do we really want him to have one final big singles match like that? If he was absolutely up to it and felt comfortable, then I would say yes. But seemingly, maybe he doesn't feel that way. Maybe he feels like it's better to have kind of like Darby to kind of lean on in the match and stuff like that. But I mean, he's still killing it at 64. So
Okay, so in this match from last week's episode of Dynamite, there's a moment where Ricky starts to set him up for the spear and he hesitates. And in that moment, I'm thinking to myself, if Sting was able to do one single match before the end of his run, it should be against Ricky Starks. And Ricky Starks should beat Sting. And then Ricky Starks can brag to the Hills that he beat Sting on the way out.
yeah, honestly, Starks would have been a great final opponent, especially after like they seemed to really be pushing him last year with all the stuff before Punk left. And when everything kind of fell apart, he had the really great match with Bryan Danielson, and they had their feud for a few weeks, but he's kind of just been relegated to the background again.
Very true. To wrap this question up, I don't think these titles should have gone off of Big Bill and Ricky Starks. They were doing fine with them. You could have had the EVPs come down and cost Sting and Darby the titles, and this leads into the feud that ends Sting's story with AEW, and I would be perfectly happy.
I have some complicated feelings about this because Sting and Darby absolutely deserved a tag team title run. I mean, I know Sting didn't want it so much, but like you're overruled, Sting. You rule, and you're going to be a champion, so deal with it. So we put the title on them, and I'm glad. But we know what's happening, and we can kind of already see, the way it's going. And I don't think the Young Bucks need to be the tag team champions. They had a very long reign at the beginning. I know it's been a little bit, but I feel like the tag teams that were coming along at the time when the Young Bucks were the champions still haven't really had their time to shine as like tag team champions or like as much in the division. And the Young Bucks are good at storytelling, so they don't need to be like the champions or the centerpieces of like a division to have like a meaningful feud to be relevant. I know they're kind of going for this new heel gimmick, so I could see that being like the reason for it, but honestly, there's a lot of tag teams in the time that the Young Bucks have been away that I feel kind of deserve to be rewarded more than the Young Bucks kind of just coming back and winning it to be the heels.
Okay, so if the EVPs win these titles at Revolution, just get your popcorn ready for the Radio Free Professional Wrestling after that one, because I'm going to rant to the moon, because me personally, I feel like Sting needs the Scorpion Death Drop both of those suckers, and they have a tag team tournament after Revolution to crown new champions, because those two boys are not going to get up from the Scorpion Death Drop.
No, like fine, let's do it like the never open 6-way, the 6-man championships. Then let's just have Sting and Darby win and then kind of relinquish them. I'd honestly perfectly be happy with that. There's so many tag teams in AEW yet that still have yet to even get near that gold. When the Young Bucks they're synonymous with the tag team championships. I would love to see like Top Flight. I would love to see, there's been tag teams that we still haven't seen win the titles, like Best Friends.
I know there's a few teams on this list before the EVPs need to get those titles back. We'll put a pin in this for now. We'll get back to this round Revolution. We'll see how this goes. Let's go on to our next stunning question. And we're going over to Stardom, as we talked about in the news segment. All heck is breaking out in Stardom. And my question to you, Ashley, can Stardom survive the firing of its founder, Rossi? I want to say yes, because they're partnered up with New Japan Pro Wrestling. But in that case as well, New Japan Pro Wrestling doesn't really treat them as an equal to themselves. So this is going to be an interesting time for Stardom.
Definitely. And I will say Tony Khan's elatement of Rossi being fired, I could certainly see him sending some talents over to help if they need it. As much as it's kind of in limbo, I think we're not going to know how well they're going to fare until we know how many people are definitively leaving next month.
If I remember right, in the story about Stardom telling their wrestlers they have to, I want to say like the 14th of February to tell them if they want to leave or not. It's going to be a lot this week is going to go on Stardom. If you're going, I would definitely check out this Wednesday's show they're going to have. I think they might even stream on YouTube, so just check YouTube and see if they're streaming it live.
I was going to say, I think I did see something about it being streamed on YouTube this week.
But we're going to know a lot more probably Thursday, Friday, and Saturday this week about the situation. And it's going to be touch and go here until they get somebody into Stardom to take control. Does Bushiroad decide, hey, Stardom's worth saving? Or do they could they shutter Stardom down?
I think it's a possibility. It's something they definitely have to consider because, I mean, like you said, he's not just the booker. He's the founder. He's kind of like the backbone of Stardom. And with him going and all of these women being faithful and loyal to him, I could see them kind of like maybe going with him to help him start his new company. And I don't foresee any partnerships there.
We'll come back to this next week on Radio Free Professional Wrestling, and we'll revisit this question. Let's go on to our final stunning question of the week. And my final stunning question for you, Ashley. Coming off of Friday Night SmackDown, Sami Zayn lost to Randy Orton, and now it doesn't seem to for him to have a clear route to a WrestleMania match. What do you want to do with Sami Zayn going into WrestleMania season?
I don't know, because he's too good to not be having a program. I honestly, I don't know if they get him on the card for this year. I mean, they might kind of try to put him in with somebody. Even now, if you kind of match him up with somebody, unless you kind of pair him up with somebody he's got a little bit of history with, you're kind of just having him on the card to have him on the card, just for the sake of it. But if what I've read was true, I believe that the Money in the Bank pay-per-view that's coming up is in Canada. Is that correct?
Yes, it's in Toronto. Yes, and that's in
I
want to
say
June.
Sami Zayn for Money in the Bank winner in Toronto.
I can see that, but I have an idea. We're recording this as Raw is on the air now. There's a guy on Raw who has a title belt, who doesn't have a challenger. He's been champion for like 500 some odd days. How about Sami Zayn versus Gunther for the IC title? That could be a tasty match.
Yeah, and especially with Sami Zayn's history with the Intercontinental Championship, like there's stuff you could already like bring into play already. That would be great.
And yes, if you're a long-time listener of Radio Free Professional Wrestling, you know that I don't really care for Gunther that much, and I would love to see Sami Zayn win this title.
Honestly, Sami Zayn deserves like some sort of reward for how much he helped with that the Bloodline storyline over the past what was that, like year and a half essentially he was involved in it.
Very true. There's a series of people who should beat Roman. He's in this series of people who should beat Roman. Because this time last year, he had his chance in Montreal. They could have easily told the wonderful story of Sami Zayn defeating Roman Reigns, but they didn't want to push the button because 2023 was the year of Roman. They wanted to keep going, milking that cash cow for everything it was worth. So they said, Roman, you can beat Sami. Roman, you can beat Cody. So now here we are. A year later, we still got it.
I feel like it's so hard to build up a baby face that it's so frustrating sometimes when WWE does not pull the trigger on these like organic baby faces that they grow. Like it's why it's like glad to see them kind of stick behind Cody right now. Because you do have somebody that despite your attempts to make him look like a geek for the past few weeks, the crowd is still very much loving and still very much behind. But like they build up these talents and people love them and want to see them more, and they kind of just get relegated to doing like little bits here and there. Like you could have so many explosive baby faces all over your roster, and it's kind of just dominated by heels.
They always say it's hard to build a baby face, which I agree with, but you were gifted 2 baby faces, one being Sami Zayn, and you had this chance in Montreal. The second was, oh, here comes Cody back, and he tells the story about, hey, I'm here to get the title that my dad never won, and he had this chance in Madison Square Garden, and it got taken away from him. You can't write these stories. They're there. Just take the story and run with it.
It's honestly it's baffling. It's why I'm so annoyed with this like Rock situation. Like you had such a slam dunk and you traveled the other end of the court to like lay up on yourself. I don't understand.
It's like you decided to go out to a firing range, so you decided, oh wait, let me load the gun up, and you shoot yourself in the foot.
Well, like I said, like at least seemingly everybody's like excited again, and they can at least build off of what they've got going now.
You know, I'll give WWE credit. They saw the situation, they came up with a solution, and now it seems to be working. I feel like a lot of people have got on board with it. The only thing we can't have is one thing I wish we could have is Triple H versus The Rock. If Triple H was able to have one match and be healthy enough for one match, him versus The Rock would be kind of cool. But I know the situation will not allow that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry I had to left that on a downer for the 76 questions, but we're moving over to mine and Ashley's favorite segment of the week. It's our top 5 matches. And I got a feeling that this is going to be a New Japan Pro Wrestling heavy top 5 matches of the week.
It's Shawn and Ashlee's top 5 matches of the week. As they count down their 5 favorite matches from the past week, did your favorite match make the cut?
Okay, so I'm going to go first here. My number 5 match of the week is Ilya Dragunov versus Dijak from last Tuesday's episode of NXT. It became the main event. And literally, these 2 guys have great chemistry, and they cannot have a bad match. And if we got Carmelo Hayes being this new heel challenger for Dragunov and his NXT title, the other person I would love to see to be a challenger for Dragunov in this title is Dijak. Dijak has put in the work. He is a strong heel downer in NXT, and go check this match out from last week. You'll see why I feel like these 2 gentlemen cannot have a bad match.
No, definitely, and I'd like to see Dijak get some kind of like well-earned like recognition. He's kind of been dealt kind of some crappy gimmicks in his time, but sometimes you just got to let the guys wrestle. Sometimes they don't need the gimmick or the attachment.
Sometimes you don't need to put a mask on the guy and just let the guy wrestle. And oh my word, like, hey, people get into him. Okay, we're going over to your number 5 match of the week. And we already talked about it in the 76 questions. It's Big Bill Ricky Starks versus Sting and Darby Allin for that AEW tag team titles. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, kind of a crazy tornado tag, action all over the place, Sting diving off the balcony like a madman. Darby Allin is I don't understand how he walks. And I gotta say, Big Bill is a standout in this match. This guy is phenomenal, and we need to get gold on him like a singles title sooner rather than later.
Well, that international title that Orange Cassidy has? Finn Balor versus Orange Cassidy at Revolution would not be a bad match.
No. I mean, we get to see Sting as a champion again, knowing he didn't want to be a champion again, but too bad, Sting. You're going to be a champion. So that's cool to see. And he kind of goes out on big championship number 25 before his retirement.
Exactly. And he could easily just hand the titles over to TK after he defeats the EVPs, and we don't need to see the EVPs holding those titles up in Greensboro. Perfectly fine.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Okay, my number 4 match comes from Friday Night SmackDown. It's DIY versus British Strong Style. Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate versus Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. This is pretty positive. If you put these 4 guys into a wrestling ring, they can't have a bad match.
I mean, it's for the best. Like we were just saying about Dijak, like sometimes you just have to let them do what they're good at, and that's what's going to be the appeal.
Well, this match here, you see British Strong Style get the victory over DIY, and they're going to face Judgment Day in the Elimination Chamber at the Elimination Chamber event for the tag team titles. I would put the titles on British Strong Style. I feel like Judgment Day had a long enough run with these titles, and can you imagine Damian Priest, Finn Balor, Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate having a freaking match?
Yeah, no, I mean, like you said, they've had the titles for a while, so switch it up. I maybe kind of move the focus from the Judgment Day a bit and kind of start showcasing and highlighting some of the other people you have on there, and especially somebody like that, like you said, Pete Dunne, especially, like he's gotten over with everything, and it's just because he's good in ring and people love him, and I'd love to see them win the tag team titles.
Well, we got 2 weeks to wait, and we'll be talking about it in a couple weeks here on Ready for Professional Wrestling. Let's go over to your number 4 match of the week. And I was kind of surprised that you put this match at number 4. It's Heyman Adam Page versus Swerve Strickland. It's a 30-minute draw this past Wednesday on Dynamite, and it was a double turn. As at the end of that 30 minutes, Swerve Strickland is the babyface that demands 5 more minutes. Heyman Adam Page is a heel going like, I got what I wanted. You're not going to get that title match. No, thank you to 5 minutes. Peace out.
Shawn, I think nobody is surprised that this is at my number 4, more than me. This is what I'm talking about. The caliber of like in-ring stuff we had this week. Any one of these matches could have been number 1, honestly. Yeah. Hangman Swerve. This continues to maybe be my favorite feud in all of wrestling. Fantastic. And especially that ending stuff with Swerve kind of just rocking in the corner, kind of waiting for Hangman to say, yeah, okay, 5 more minutes. And Hangman is just like, no, nope. In my zealousness to take you down, I will tank my own opportunity, and that double turn when it officially happens and we get like some actual heel Hangman, the crowd's gonna go nuts for like face Swerve now.
This was a great match. It starts out with certainly just hitting all his moves. Then he's getting desperate towards the end of this match where he's breaking out a buttshot lariat. He does a dead eye through a table. He's bringing out all the Heyman spots, and I'm going like, that's kind of cool, and I kind of want Swerve to win this match. And as they're announcing 20 minutes gone, 5 minutes left, I'm going, are they going to a draw? And they went to the draw, and the crowd was crazy for this match. And they all wanted 5 minutes, and they were all booing Heyman and Page for saying no. But hey, we get the triple threat at Revolution.
Yeah, and I'm excited for that. And quite frankly, I don't think I crown either one of them at Revolution. I think their rivalry right now is going to be kind of like the front and center thing, and I think it's going to cost one of them. And Joe's going to kind of sneak out this win and kind of give Joe. I'm hoping Joe will stay the champion for a few more months because I got to be honest, I love Samoa Joe as champion, and I want to see like kind of the Hangman and Swerve thing keep going until we finally get the definitive heel Hangman, face Swerve, and then you can kind of have, I don't know whether you have Hangman win it first and then have Swerve have to go after him, or if you have Swerve win it and Hangman kind of kind of go deeper into the depths of his madness because now Swerve beat him all these times and he went out and won his championship.
You know who's the most happy about this three-way match? It's Samoa Joe, because they go to the back and they're asking how you feel about this triple threat. He's going like, "That's fine. I got two people to torture."
That's why I love Samoa Joe. Like, he don't care. He'll fight everybody.
And I agree with you. I feel like Strickland and Heyman are going to cost each other this match, and Samoa Joe's a little smirk and go like, "You guys beat each other up. One muscle buster, paycheck."
Yeah, there's a couple of different ways they could go with it, but I kind of like to see it go that way, especially because to me, like, this is one of those rivalries that, like, it's not going to need the championship, going like these guys are like intertwined now, and they kind of have like a this like arch nemesis in each other. So build it up, keep going with it. I want to see them continue to fight and hate each other and cost each other opportunities.
Very true. Let's go over to my number 3 match of the week. It came from last week's Monday Night Raw. It was a main event. It's Cody Rhodes versus Shinsuke Nakamura in a bull rope match. And this was a fine bull rope match. Even though Michael Cole was trying to get us to believe that the bull rope they were using was 50 years old. It was the one Dusty used way back in the day. But you know what? I can overlook it because these two guys have great chemistry in the ring. Cody got his win. And the rehab of Cody Rhodes going towards WrestleMania has started. And we're back on track after we got this story sidetracked.
Yeah, I mean, Nakamura has kind of had this weird, like, up and down, like, I would say, like, past, like, maybe year where he's kind of been featured. He hasn't really gotten, like, too many big wins, but it's nice to see him get a match with somebody like Cody, too. It seems like they're still, like, kind of putting him in these main event spots, and Cody, I don't think, can do any wrong right now.
No, I don't think Cody can do any wrongs. And I feel like Shinsuke got this run here as WWE was trying to bring Okada into the fold. So they were showing that, hey, look at look at Shinsuke Nakamura. We're giving him a good run. We can give you a good run. Please come to the WWE. Rumors now are reporting that Okada's probably AEW bound. And like you said last week, you felt the same way. I'm kind of to start to put my ideal to bed that I won't see AJ Styles versus Okada at WrestleMania. So, okay, fine.
Maybe one day. There's still time.
Never say never.
Exactly. Especially with the way the past like year or two has gone.
Well, let's go to your number 3 match of the week because it came from Sunday morning Eastern time as it's the Ace versus Okada one final time. And if you were lucky enough to be up at about 4 o'clock in the morning, like I was, this was 18 minutes of good professional wrestling.
This is like it's not even just like the good in-ring match. It's like what this match meant and how emotional this match was. We know, like, we've seen like Tanahashi, and we know he's kind of on his way out. He doesn't have too much longer left. Kind of going out there and still putting on like this caliber of performance with Okada, though. Like, you can tell, like, still dealing with like the pain and stuff like that. Okada's just emotions from the very beginning to the end. Just what a great way to go out in Osaka. For those two. Unbelievable.
I gotta say that coming into that match, just seeing the crowd chant Okada before his music starts, then he walks out, music plays, they drop the music down so 5,200 people can chant Okada, Okada. And you can't not feel the emotion of that. And they went in there, they had a great match. And at like a couple minutes into it, the fans were cheering for Tanahashi and they were booing Okada. And at the end of the match, when Okada hit the Rainmaker and got the pin, the crowd just goes, Okada, Okada. He bows to everybody. He kissed the center of the ring, and there's not a dry eye in the house. And you can see the emotion on Okada. He realizes that his last match in Osaka.
Yeah, and in everything, like his performance, like you can tell, like those two dudes just left it all out there, knowing that it very well could be the last time those two get in the ring together. I'm happy that Okada seems to be on his way to AEW, but I'm also happy that Tanahashi is so like been handsomely rewarded with the position that he has, because he deserves it.
Yes, he does. And I'm like the comment from Forever Asasa here. He's saying Okada in the Continental Classic sounds like kind of lit. I'm with him. Hey, this Continental Classic coming up next December. Okada needs to be in the Continental Classic. Yes.
Yeah, especially if they want to throw in. Yeah. Oh my God. I'm not. You guys are already out thinking me right now. You're thinking about next year's Continental Classic. Oh my God. All right. Yes. Okada. Put him in the gold block. Let's do it.
Hey, go blue. I don't care. Let's go. Let's go to my number 2 match of the week, because it's the 30-minute draw between Heyman Adam Page and Swerve Strickland. Honestly, this match was fun to watch, and I was going into it hoping that Strickland would get the victory over Heyman, and we get Heyman going down deeper in this heel turn that he apparently is going down. But hey, you know what? I'll take the draw, and we'll kick this down the road just a little bit more. And that was some fun storytelling there on AEW. And man, that was the fastest 30 minutes of Dynamite I've seen in a while.
Yeah. I guess my only complaint is like they do the time limit draws kind of, I would say, more predictably. Like we don't ever have like random matches go to the draw. It's kind of these matches where we make a big deal about the time limit draw that go to the time limit draw.
You know what? I agree. I feel like they need to do the time callouts more often, because that's like the red flag. Like, wait a minute, they just said 15 minutes ago. Okay, we're going 30 and we might get a draw here. Okay. It's like a flashing sign going like, hi.
Yeah. I mean, but otherwise, like you said, stellar match, fantastic storyline. And they both look great at the end of it.
Like Forever the Sausage said, Heyman and Strickland are forever bound to have great matches. These two guys cannot have a bad match.
Seemingly so.
Okay, so let's go over to your number 2 match of the week. And it's from New Japan Pro Wrestling, New Beginning in Osaka. And it's the United Empire versus Bullet Club War Dogs and Ashlee. I feel like this is the best war game style match I have ever seen in my life.
I would not argue with you. I will say this: when you asked me to send you over my list of the 5 matches for the ticker thing, I was still debating which one was going to be number 1. I don't know if I technically have a number 2 this week. I think I have like a 1A and a 1B. This match, being Will Ospreay's last match in New Japan, was everything you'd kind of hope your cage match, your hardcore match would be. Crazy spots, some great storytelling and storyline stuff, like especially with Akira, which I thought, like, I loved that whole storyline of him being like afraid of getting stabbed with a fork again or getting beaten up. He didn't want to go through the tables or fight with the chairs, to like him coming out and diving off the top of the cage to start off his run in the match. Everything, like, I feel like everybody like hit their marks. Everything looked great. Hanare looked like a monster. Fantastic.
Yes, this thing was an hour and 4 minutes from bell to end. And I gotta say, you need to go get New Japan Pro Wrestling for a month just for this match. Set aside about an hour and a half and just enjoy this, because it's a perfectly good tell story. As David Finlay comes down, he has one objective in mind. He wants to single-handedly destroy the United Empire. He wants to handcuff every member of the United Empire to the cage So it's this Ospreay versus all his boys. And we get that towards the end as Ospreay's in the corner. He rolls out the final member of his team who's unable to go anymore. He rolls out to safety. And David Finlay just drops down to his knees like, I'll give you one free hit. Hit me. And Ospreay, with all his strength he has left, goes for a hidden blade and falls about like 6 inches short. And like a good villain, David Finlay looks at him and go like, evil laugh, and hits his finisher 1, 2, 3. And we have David Finlay winning this match. And apparently Bullet Club War Dogs is going to roll New Japan Pro Wrestling for a while now.
Yeah. Will Ospreay, I think it was Akira, actually just speaking about him, that he ended up throwing out of the ring. I mean, that was the culmination of an hour too, because Will Ospreay started the match with David Finlay, so he was in there the entire time. And the ending, like everything, like storyline, I think it was something that David Finlay sorely needed, was like a big win that looked like this too. I'm curious to see where they go. I know Drilla Maloney has been injured and working injured, so I don't know if he continues to be able to work or if he's going to have to step away. I mean, they got a good core group of guys, so even missing Maloney for a bit, they still have a good run coming.
They do. And, I was kind of lukewarm on this faction of the Bullet Club. But after this match, Will Ospreay has made this group a credible force in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And I feel like David Finlay should send a thank you note over to Will Ospreay, going like, thank you for launching my career here in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Because Ospreay didn't have to put him over so strong in this match, but he did on his way out. And if you go to the post-match press conference, Ospreay says that in his contract with AEW, he has opportunities to come back to New Japan Pro Wrestling. He does not win, but hopefully down the road in the future, we get David Finlay versus Ospreay. We get to settle this one last time.
Yeah, no, like I said, I feel like a lot of people have felt like you about this iteration of the Bullet Club. Kind of a little more lukewarm on it. I don't think David Finlay, at least right now, has the same pull as previous Bullet Club leaders. So I think, like you said, like having this big kind of like earmark win over Will Ospreay in the United Empire could certainly help his image and kind of maybe give them this edge that they maybe felt like they were missing before.
Well, let's just go ahead and name this Sean's number one match of the week, because we've been talking for just a little bit, and I'll just go ahead and admit it. It was my number one match. And just like you, about noon today, I had 3 matches in this slot. And I had like the Danielson Zack Sabre Jr. match, I had the Okada Tanahashi match, and I had this match. So literally, I just went back and watched this a little bit of the War Dogs versus United Empire. I went, hey, I'm running with this. This is going to be my match because I know what your number one match is. And ladies and gentlemen, what is Ashlee's number one match of the week? Let's find out.
No surprises.
And ladies and gentlemen, no surprise, it's Daniel Bryan versus Zack Sabre Jr. 28 minutes of 2 guys who swear they're going to make the other one tap out. Actually, did it happen?
It did not.
No, Zack Sabre Jr. cradles Mr. American Dragon for a 1, 2, 3 count, but that was after 28 minutes of them beating the heck out of each other.
This is the kind of stuff that when I was a kid, I didn't appreciate about wrestling. Like the technical side of it. I was very much into the characters and the stories, and seeing wrestling like this over the past, like, I don't know, 5-10 years or whatever I've been watching it. I can't get over how like almost like beautiful it is. Like the reversals, how fluid they are, and every single thing they did in the ring together was outstanding.
I think my favorite part of this match was them being locked together and them deciding to kick each other in the head with their feet as hard as they could, as long as they could, until both of them just basically passed it out for a second. This match, I agree with you, could easily be my #1 match of the week. Anyway, I was really just splitting hairs, but good choice.
Yeah, no, I mean, that card, like I said, like, New Japan really went out and, like, you know, honestly, like, we knew they would with, like, Okada's last match in Osaka and everything, but honestly, like, those, like, 3 particular matches on that card are worth, like you said, getting the New Japan subscription for a month to just check those out.
And as Forever Salsa said, those two have my favorite match over the last 2 years. It's everything I love about professional wrestling. And yes, it's everything I love about technical professional wrestling. This is like Mr. Perfect versus Bret Hart.
It's there, man. I don't think anyone is ever going to convince me that Bryan Danielson isn't the greatest wrestler of all time.
Well, you know, there's this guy named Nigel McGuinness who might disagree with you just a little bit. Maybe I'll put you in touch with him.
Listen, I love Nigel, but he would be very mad at me.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is bringing our top 5 matches of the week to a close, and as well this episode of Ready Free Professional Wrestling. Ashley, where can we find you on the information superhighway?
So I'm on Twitter, and it's at groovy_ash_.
And you can always follow the show on Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok at Radio Free PW. You can also follow myself at RPW Shawn on Twitter. And until we see you next time on Radio Free Professional Wrestling, remember, this is our groovy and stunning era. Scissor guns up.
Scissor guns up.
Thanks for listening. Like the show? Do us a favor and share it with a friend. Have a stunning question? Email it to the show at radiofreeprowrestling@gmail.com. Until next time, this has been Radio Free Pro Wrestling. Stay stunningly.